Hi everyone. All right, so today is our last lesson on poetry. We're going to talk a little bit about concise poetry. Um, so here's kind of our agenda. You'll be working on this for the next 2 days. So today's Thursday and then Friday as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to listen to this recording, obviously, and then read through the slideshow and watch. There's a video on slide 14 that you need to see. You're going to respond to slide 16 in the Google. There's a Google Doc that is shared with everybody that you will respond on. And you're going to analyze We Real Cool by Gwendolyn Brooks using that 4-part reading strategy. It's a much shorter poem this time, so it shouldn't take you as long. And then you're going to write your reflection, and then you're going to try writing a concise poem using this strategy I'm going to teach you to write. It's called Cut to the Bone strategy. All right, and all of this is on your Google Doc that I've included in your Google Classroom. Make sure you're looking at all the pages. There should be 3 pages, or maybe 4 pages. I can't remember now. No, 3 pages. So make sure you're doing all of, because sometimes people are forgetting to do like the reflection at the end or the poem that they're supposed to write. So make sure you're doing all of those things. All right, so getting into concise poetry. So the first thing you'll need to know is, what does concise mean? And maybe you know that word already, but just as a review, concise is a brief yet comprehensive, clear, and in few words. So it's kind of paring your poetry down, so you're only using the really powerful words, and you cut out all the words that you don't necessarily need. So what this means kind of is less is more. You've probably heard that before. We're doing this because it helps us understand maybe how to write a better poem, understanding how powerful our language can be, and how to express our emotions through poetry, how to use literary devices to enhance meaning, and then just us understanding of what less is more means. So what you're going to be doing is you will annotate a poem and engage in higher level thinking, and then use the 4-part reading strategy. So I'm going to share with you a couple examples of some famous poems that are very short. So this first one, Ogden Nash, he was kind of known for his like silly, really short poems. This is probably one of the shortest example poems out there. So this one it's titled Fleas, and then the poem is Adam Had 'em. And yeah, that's a poem. The next one is Margaret Atwood. She's really known, well, she's written lots of books and short stories, but she's really well known for it was really popular on Netflix a couple years ago, called Handmaid's Tale. Also, Cat's Cradle, there's a lot of things, but she also writes poetry. Here's one of her very short poems. You fit into me like a hook into an eye, a fish hook, an open eye. So kind of this poem takes a little bit of a turn. Ouch. A fish hook in an open eye. Ooh. Wonder what happened to her. All right. So this one is written by William Carlos Williams. Kind of an interesting man. He was a doctor, family doctor, but on the side he wrote poetry, and he has a lot of famous published poems. So this one is called The Red Wheelbarrow. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, glazed with rain, beside the white chickens. Just a nice, thoughtful, you really, some of these poems you just kind of have to read a couple times and then think about them. Crossover has an example of a lot of different kinds of short, concise poetry where they write just, 2 words per line. I know a lot of you have read the crossover series books by Kwame. Well, not really a series, but the crossover and what's the other one? The soccer one. And then there's quite a few. And I know a lot of you have read them. I loved crossover. All right. E. E. Cummings, another famous poet. Here's a really short poem he wrote. And if you kind of look at it, it says, a leaf falls, one lines. Kind of interesting. It's like kind of concrete. Oh no, sorry, a leaf. Oh, if you look here, it says like one lines, but then I forgot about this part. The L at the top, the very first line, actually goes to the bottom one. I think somehow it says loneliness. No, it comes down to the third to the last loneliness. Sorry, I forgot. So a leaf falls and then loneliness. You see that? Kind of cool. Oh, right here, I've actually wrote it out. I forgot that I did that. Kind of a cool poem there. What I'm going to need you to do is watch this video. It's a pretty quick video just about what is it, like what is a poem? If these are poems, what makes a poem? And there's some really cool poems that they're going to share with you in here. They're going to talk a little bit about some of the ones we saw, but other ones too, like a Tupac poem and some of his writing. So watch this. Then you're going to kind of answer this question. What is being cool to you? You're going to kind of think about that part. What makes someone cool? You can also write about what is cool and what is not cool. So when you think about what's cool and what's not cool, you're going to go to this Google Doc here. And I wrote this meme of Lori Lightfoot and I don't know, maybe you think it's funny, maybe not. And then I know a lot of you tell me that Facebook is not cool anymore. So I put that as not cool. All right, let me go back to my slide and I kind of got off here. All right. So Gwendolyn Brooks is this amazing poet and teacher who actually grew up in Chicago. And she was one of the most highly regarded, highly influential, and widely read poets of the 20th century. And she was such an honored poet. She was the first Black author to win a Pulitzer Prize. So we're going to be looking at her poem today as we learn about concise poetry. So just to give you a little context, Gwendolyn Brooks was a teacher in Bronzeville in the 1950s. Bronzeville is in Chicago. It's kind of on the southeast side, I would say. Not like that far south, but like right around like Hyde Park. I used to teach there when I first started teaching in Chicago. And this is kind of what it looked like in the 1950s. This is just a little image of the poem, but it's just kind of a placeholder there. So the first thing you're going to do, like we are used to, is you're going to watch the video. I found this really cool video made by the Poetry Foundation that's kind of turned her poem into a cartoon with cool images. Then there's these different questions for you to think about here. Even though it's a short poem, there's so much to it. So normally we would do these questions as a discussion, as a class, but we can't do that. So I just wrote questions to think about. And I do want you to look through these because if you think about them, it's going to help you kind of get to this next part, which is understanding the meaning of the poem. And you're going to just listen to the audio this time. So this is just a picture of her. When you play it, it'll just have her kind of read what you saw in the video, a little shorter. Then you're going to annotate the lyrics again, the poem. Again, there's so much to the poem, so it should look something like this when you annotate. There should be a lot because there's a lot packed in here, even though it's short. And you have more time because it's not such a long poem, so you can spend a little bit more time thinking about each word and its impact to the message. Next, you're going to write down kind of the feeling of the poem after you listen to the lyrics while reading them. So on this video, you'll actually see the lyrics when you play it and hear her reading them. All right, so after you do that, you're going to write your reflection, just like a 1-paragraph reflection. Then once you finish that, you're going to try out this cut to the bone strategy. So it's a strategy to help you write a more concise poem. So what you'll do is you'll start just writing. You can start by writing a poem, writing all your thoughts down like this. You're going to cut out any unnecessary redundant words. Think about what's like leaving just the words that are essential to understanding your overall message of the poem. So after you write your first poem, think about what is your message? What are you trying to say? And just pull out the words that are really important to that message. You can leave out words like very or, like those kind of the words that aren't really necessarily don't do anything for the meaning of the poem. So you want to say as much as you can in a short space and use like very powerful words. You might want to use your thesaurus here. Try to like enhance your vocabulary so your words are strong and have a lot of impact. So that's one way to do the cut to the bone strategy. Another way that's kind of cool is you just write a paragraph, then you just pull out like the words that give the most meaning from it and the most powerful words. So for example, the student wrote about a rainy day. She said, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but on that day I was returning home from school. I had a few friends with me. Suddenly I found black clouds to the northwest side of the sky. I thought it will rain soon, so I started to walk fast. After a few times, it began to rain cats and dogs. I took shelter in a wayside house. I got drenched thoroughly. I pulled my shoes and shirt off and waltzed in the hope that the rains would soon cease. But there is no sign of abiding it. Okay, so then the student just pulls out, if you look here, returning home from school, friends, beside me, all right? Dissipated. So you can see how it pulled out just those really important words to the message and it made like a really powerful poem. That might be another way of doing it. So you're going to try writing a concise poem. I've given some ideas down here, just coronavirus, fortnight, spring break, school, struggling to write poetry, sports. This was from another Jolly Ranchers. I had some students that were obsessed with Jolly Ranchers. Whatever it is, you can write about anything. Look at your heart map. And then use these examples we looked at today to give you some inspiration. If you're still struggling, there's this really cool kind of podcast on NPR that you can click on, and it gives some more examples of these short poems. There's some that we've talked about, but it talks a little bit more about them and gives you some ideas. So that's what you'll be doing today and tomorrow. So this is all due Friday by the end of the day, which is like Friday by midnight. All right. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I had one person show up to my office hours today, so I'm not really sure. I'm going to try to think about how to get more people there. Next week, I'll have office hours, but there will be one day where your class is required to have a live meet with me, and everyone should be there. I think my 3-4 is on Tuesday and at 10 a.m. and my 7-8 is at 10 a.m. on Thursday. So we need to kind of get used to that idea that we're going to be doing this. It will be really great to see all of you too. So have fun with this. This is our last poem we're going to write, and then we're going to be moving into our dystopian unit next week on Monday. All right, have a great day. Bye.